We think we know cold. We buy the expensive puffy jackets, the heated gloves, and the battery-powered socks, and we think we have conquered the winter. But we haven't. We are just tourists in the ice. To truly understand survival in the most hostile environment on Earth, you have to look at the people who thrived there for thousands of years before Gore-Tex or propane existed. The Inuit didn't just survive the Arctic. They engineered their way through it. They treated the ice not as an enemy, but as a library of resources. Today, I am downloading 10 ancient Inuit survival techniques into your brain. These are not primitive myths. This is apex-level engineering using bone, snow, and biology. We are going to cover how to navigate when the world turns white, how to turn stone into a lighthouse, and how to hack the physics of friction. But you need to stay with me until the very end, because technique number 10 is the grand finale. It is a survival taboo, a lethal vitamin trap. It involves a food source that looks like salvation, but is actually a biological weapon that will cause your skin to peel off and your brain to swell until it is absolute game over. Let's get to work. Number 1, the Igaak diffraction. You are walking across a frozen bay. The sun is out. It feels good. You take off your sunglasses because they are fogging up. You think you can tough it out. You are absolutely wrong. The science of the pain, snow reflects up to 80% of UV radiation. This hits your eyes from above and below. Without protection, you burn the cornea of your eye. This is photokeratitis, or snow blindness. It doesn't hurt immediately. It waits. That night, it feels like someone has poured a handful of hot, gritty sand directly behind your eyelids. Your eyes tear uncontrollably. They swell shut and you are rendered completely blind for days. In a survival scenario, blindness is a fatal error. The pro solution, the Inuit solved this with an Igaak. They carved goggles from caribou antler, bone, or driftwood, but they didn't use glass. They cut incredibly narrow horizontal slits into the material. This utilizes the pinhole effect. It blocks 95% of the scattered UV rays and glare, allowing only a focused beam of light to enter. This doesn't just save your retinas, it actually sharpens your focus on the horizon. If you lose your glasses, you can replicate this with bark, cardboard, or even duct tape. Slit saves sight. Number 2, the Thermodynamic Sink entrance. You need to build a shelter. You pile up snow, you dig a hole, and you crawl in. But you wake up shivering uncontrollably. Why? Because you ignored the physics of heat. The science of the cold, heat rises. Cold air is denser and heavier than warm air. If your sleeping platform is at the same level as your door, the cold air from outside flows in and settles right on top of you, while your body heat escapes out the door. You are sleeping in a draft tunnel. The pro solution, you must build a cold well or a thermodynamic sink. The Inuit igloo is an architectural masterpiece. The entrance tunnel is dug significantly lower than the main living floor. You crawl down to get in and then climb up to the sleeping platform. The heavy, freezing air sinks into that low entrance tunnel and gets trapped there, unable to rise to the sleeping level. Meanwhile, your body heat and the heat from a lamp rise and get trapped in the dome above. This simple elevation difference can create a temperature gap of up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit between the outside air and the inside air, using nothing but snow and gravity. Number 3, the hollow hair insulation. Modern wool is great, but in the extreme Arctic, it gets heavy and can freeze if it gets wet. The Inuit relied on caribou reindeer skins. This isn't just because it was available, it's because caribou fur is a biological miracle. The science of the fiber. Unlike the solid fibers of other animals, caribou guard hairs are hollow. Like microscopic honeycombs or straws, this structure does two things. First, it makes the coat incredibly light. Second, and most importantly, that hollow space inside the hair traps stagnant air. In thermodynamics, stagnant air is the best insulator on the planet. The heat from the animal doesn't conduct through the hair to the outside world. It hits that air pocket and stops. The pro solution, when you are looking for survival clothing, you won't waft that traps air. The Inuit wore two layers of caribou skin, the inner layer with the fur facing in against the body, and the outer layer with the fur facing out. This creates a double vacuum seal of warm air that is superior to almost any modern synthetic. It keeps the hunter warm at 50 below zero. But while this fur protects you from the outside cold, the threat we are discussing in number 10 attacks you from the inside out, and no amount of fur can stop it. Number 4, the Sastrugi Navigation. You are on the ice. The clouds drop. The sky matches the ground. The horizon disappears. You are in a ping pong ball. This is a whiteout. Your compass is spinning or useless near the magnetic pole. You have no landmarks. How do you walk in a straight line? The science of the wind. The wind is an artist, and the snow is its canvas. Over time, the prevailing winds scour and erode the snowpack into hard, wave-like ridges called sastrugi. These ridges are frozen in time, and they run parallel to the primary wind direction. The pro solution: you look at your feet. The sastrugi are your compass. If you know the prevailing storm winds blow from the northwest, then the ridges are aligned northwest to southeast. The steep, scoured side points into the wind, the long, tapered tail points downwind. You lock your angle of travel relative to these ridges. You might walk at a 45-degree angle to the waves. As long as you keep cutting the waves at that same angle, you are maintaining a straight bearing, even if you can't see 5 feet in front of your face. Number 5, the Peat-Ice friction hack. You have a sled with your gear. You are dragging it across dry, ultra-cold snow. It feels like you are dragging it through sand. The physics of friction: we think of snow as slippery, but at minus 40 degrees, snow crystals become hard and abrasive like sandpaper. The friction coefficient skyrockets. Metal or wood runners drag and stick, exhausting the traveler and burning precious calories. The Inuit invented a composite material to solve this. The pro solution: they use Peat-Ice. They would mix pulverized peat moss with warm water to create a paste. They applied this to the sled runners. As it froze, they would shape it and smooth it. Then, the final touch: they would take a mouthful of water and spray it along the runner, instantly freezing a thin, glass-smooth layer of ice over the peat. Ice on snow has much lower friction than wood on snow. This microglazing allowed heavy sleds to glide effortlessly over the sandpaper snow, saving the energy required to survive. It's a brilliant hack, but stay alert, because the Peat-Ice saves energy, while the trap in number 10 is a hidden biological bomb that exploits your hunger. Number 6, the Kudlik Chemistry. You are above the tree line. There's no wood, there's no coal, but you need heat to melt water and light to see during the months of darkness. Without fire, you reach the end of the line quickly. The concept: the Inuit realized that the animals they hunted were essentially swimming fuel tanks. But animal fat doesn't burn easily like gasoline. It needs a catalyst. The pro solution: enter the Kudlik. This is a crescent-shaped lamp carved from soapstone. The fuel is rendered blubber from a seal or whale. But you can't just light a bowl of blubber. The secret is the wick. They use dried moss or cotton grass arranged in a precise line along the edge of the lamp. The wick draws the liquefied fat up, allowing it to vaporize and burn. A properly tended Kudlik produces a steady, smokeless, golden flame that acts as a stove, a heater, and a psychological anchor in the endless dark. It turns biological mass into thermal energy. Number 7, the Old Ice Desalination. You are surrounded by ice, but you are dying of thirst. Sea ice is frozen ocean water. If you melt it and drink it, the salt content will dehydrate your cells, shut down your kidneys, and lead to hallucinations and a fatal end. But the Inuit knew the secret life cycle of ice. The science of the brine: when salt water freezes, the ice crystal structure tries to push the salt out. It forms brine pockets. Over time, gravity pulls these heavy brine pockets down through the ice and back into the ocean. This takes time. The pro solution: you look for old ice or multi-year ice. You identify it by color and texture. First-year ice is white or grayish and salty. Old ice, which has survived a summer, melt or two, turns a beautiful blue color. It has leached out almost all of its salt. It is fresh water. You chip off a piece of the blue ice. If it splinters like glass, it's likely fresh. If it lands with a dull thud, it might still be salty. The rule is: blue is life, gray is danger. Number 8, the Inuksuk Herding. You need food. A caribou herd is moving through the valley. You have a bow and arrow with limited range. You can't outrun them. Chasing game in the Arctic is a negative calorie activity. You burn more than you catch. You need the game to come to you. The psychology of the prey. Caribou have poor eyesight. They rely on movement and silhouettes. They are easily spooked by standing figures. The pro solution: the Inuit built Inuksuk stone cairns stacked to resemble the silhouette of a standing human. They would build lines of these stone soldiers along the ridge lines, funneling the herd into a narrow valley or a specific ambush point. The caribou would see the stones, think they were hunters, and veer away right into the waiting hunter's range. This is force multiplication. It allows a small group of hunters to control the movement of hundreds of animals using psychology and terrain. It is a brilliant strategy, but remember this: you can herd caribou safely, But there is one animal part you must never touch. Number 10 is coming, and it offers no second chances. Number 9, the Wolverine frost break. You are breathing heavily in the cold. The moisture from your breath hits the fur ruff of your hood. On wolf or coyote fur, this moisture freezes and turns into a ring of solid ice against your face. This ice conducts cold, freezing your cheeks and nose. Frostbite sets in. The biological anomaly. The Wolverine gulo is different. Its fur has a unique texture and oil content that makes it hydrophobic, water repelling in a very specific way. Frost does not bond to Wolverine guard hairs. The pro solution. The Inuit specifically prize Wolverine fur for the hood ruff, the part right next to the face. When your breath freezes on Wolverine fur, it forms a loose frost that sits on top of the hairs. You can simply brush it off with a swipe of your mitten, and it's gone. It stays dry and warm. It is the only fur that manages moisture this effectively, preventing facial frostbite in deep cold. Number 10, the lethal vitamin trap. This is the grand finale. This is the item that separates knowledge from a fatal error. You have successfully hunted a polar bear. You are starving. You have hundreds of pounds of meat. You see the liver. In almost every other animal, caribou, seal, moose, the liver is the prize. It is a superfood, packed with nutrients. You cook it up and eat it. This is your final mistake. The science of the toxicity. The polar bear is an apex predator that bioaccumulates massive amounts of vitamin A retinol in its liver. A human liver can handle a small amount. A polar bear liver contains toxic concentrations that are lethal to humans. Just a few ounces creates a condition called acute hypervitaminosis A. It is not a quiet end. The pressure inside your skull increases, causing a blinding headache, vomiting, and confusion. Then, your skin begins to peel off your body in sheets, your face, your hands, your feet. You suffer cerebral edema, coma, and finally, a total system shutdown. The Inuit developed a strict cultural taboo. The liver is never eaten. It is often cut out and buried immediately so that even the sled dogs don't accidentally eat it. In a land of scarcity, throwing away food seems insane, but in this case, the food is a chemical weapon. Know what to eat and know what will end your story. The Arctic is a classroom where the tuition is paid in body heat. Respect the wisdom of the ancients, wear your goggles, and bury the liver. In the next video, we will dive deeper into building the perfect snow trench shelter. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Stay warm and stay safe.